Hi, I'm Sue.
And I'm Mel, and this is Manifesting with Mel and Sue. Today, we're going to be talking about, what were we talking about?
How to ignore the 3D.
How to ignore the 3D.
So just a quick refresher, 3D refers to the reality you're currently living in, or the physical world around you. It may not be the reality that you're living in up here, but how you perceive the world currently.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talk about ignoring the 3D, we don't mean shut yourself in a room and pretend it doesn't exist for as long as it takes to get your manifestation, because I feel like that work. I mean, it might if you really have good faith, but I wouldn't want to test that.
I think you should keep living your life.
Yes. So how do you ignore the 3D?
I keep living my life. I'm pretty much just, when I affirm, if something is showing up in my 3D that I don't like, I will immediately flip it. So I will affirm for it even more, like, that's not happening, that's not real, that doesn't exist in my reality. You can actually basically erase somebody from your reality, but it doesn't mean you're erasing them from existence, just from your reality. If you're like trying to get rid of a 3P, like a third party, if you are trying to get rid of a situation, if you want to revise something.
So what's a third party? Because I don't think we talked about that.
I don't think we have. So a third party is, typically it involves a romantic interest. So if you're interested in this person, or it's a lot of times with our viewers, it's an ex, and if they're dating somebody else or they're involved somehow with somebody else, that's a third party. So if you're interested in your SP and they're with somebody else and you want to get rid of that somebody else, you can do it. It's very easy. Or at least I believe it is.
It is. So what you're doing when you manifest 3P away, it doesn't mean that you're changing anything about those people. It means that you're shifting to the reality where they're not together anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's like it would have happened anyway, because that's the reality that you're conscious of, the one where you're with your specific person. Mm-hmm. And it would have happened anyway. You're just becoming conscious of it, and so that's your new reality.
Exactly.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. And how do you ignore the 3D?
I'm so good at it. I don't struggle with that at all. So some things are easier for me than others. I think some things I have a lot less resistance to. I'm pretty good at changing the weather. Mm-hmm. And so that for me, like, if somebody is like, it's going to snow on this day or whatever, I'm just like, no, it's going to be great weather that day. Like, I'm a runner and I have races, and I'm always manifesting good weather for my races, and it always works.
It does.
So I guess ignoring the 3D, like you said, can just come down to denial. Like, no, that's not the way it is. That's not the way it's going to be. That's not. I said no because I'm God, right?
Exactly.
Like that. Like, I just said no.
Reality. Yeah. So no, I'm not allowing that.
So I think some things, and I don't want to create any limiting beliefs. I'm still working on ignoring other things. I have done it successfully with people, sometimes less successfully, because I think for me, like, when my emotions get involved, like, I get triggered instantly by something, and I have to do some real convincing of my emotions, and that's trickier for me. But I think the one thing you can do, like, is to just affirm through it, like you said. Mm-hmm. Like, if you can't convince yourself that's not the case, if you can't be decisive, then just affirm through it, mm-hmm. and eventually it will change.
Exactly. I think another thing, too, is if you ever hear the expression be delusional, basically what that means is you're going to act like, even if whether I can't wait to hear it. Even if you're outside and it's raining, and you're like, no, it's sunny out, and you're getting soaking wet, you can still be delusional and say, no, it's sunny out, and then all of a sudden, the clouds part, the sun comes out, and you're like, hey, it's sunny out. No kidding. So I think that I think that's a pretty good example of being delusional. You don't have to accept what you're experiencing and what you're seeing. You don't have to accept what is in front of you. So.
All right, so here's my story. This is about weight loss. You've heard it.
Yes.
I mean, you've heard all my stories. So I was manifesting to lose a few pounds. Not a big amount, but I would step on my scale in the morning, and I had a number in mind. Like, this is the number that I expect to see on my scale. And I would step on my scale, and it wasn't right. And I'd be like, no, you're wrong. That's not accurate. And one day I stepped on my scale, and it was really wrong, and I just laughed. I was like, you're so wrong. You have no idea. And then, like, I don't know, a day or two later, I stepped, and it gave me the right number. So I was like, yep.
Exactly.
Right.
And I actually, when you told me that story, I was like, I'm going to go home and try that because I love that. And it worked. Of course it did. But I feel like it's funny because sometimes even though we've experienced so many manifestations, we still sometimes are surprised and amazed by it. It's like, oh my God, I've called her up so many times.
You know why? It's because when you're affirming for something over and over and over again, and it's like, it's not there yet, it's not there, you're in denial, it's not there yet, and then all of a sudden it's there, and it's like, ah!
It's like Christmas morning.
Right. But, I mean, you knew it was going to happen.
Yes.
But it's still a fun surprise.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels natural. Like, I had an SP once that I was affirming. I talked about how I was affirming that he was obsessed with me, and he became obsessed with me, but then he ghosted me. So I got mad, and I was like, he is so fucking in love with me. And so I made him crazy about me. And then after a while, I stopped caring because I didn't want him anyway. And then he sent me this huge long text about how he had such strong feelings for me, and he felt so bad, and how he would understand if I never wanted to talk to him again. But like, it was like 2 weeks later, and at that point I was over it. But yeah.
But it just shows it works every single time. Without fail, it works.
Always.
Well, that was like you were manifesting an SP, and you didn't see movement right away, and then you were just like, I'm done, I don't want anything to do with this. And I don't even remember how long it was, and he reached out to you, and he's like, and you had actually said to me when you decided that you were done, that you were like, oh, he's probably just so in love with me and doesn't even know what to do with himself. And sure enough, what was it, like a couple months later, and he messaged you, and he's like, I was just really scared, I didn't know what to do, I was falling in love with you.
Yes. Yeah, he was, oh God. This guy, he started out as a birds before land for my first SP. And he was parroting back all of my affirmations, all of my scripting.
The T.
Like, word for word. Like, I read in my journal the words that he said to me, and it was crazy. So this guy was just convinced that I was absolutely the best woman in the world, that nobody else compared to me. I know, right? And so I had stopped manifesting. Well, I got involved with this guy because it's hard not to when he's saying everything you've ever wanted to hear. But then later I got kind of crazy because I won't get into circumstances. But I didn't want a relationship with him. But anyway, he came back just a few months ago and was telling me that he was so in love with me that it scared him. And then he ghosted me because he was like overwhelmed by his feelings. He was involved with someone else at the time too. And so he was considering leaving her for me, which thank God he didn't, because I didn't want him.
But you did affirm for that too.
Look, I have stopped affirming for guys that I don't want. I just want to go on record. I don't do that anymore. Only for me and the people that I actually want.
Yeah, we don't recommend guinea pigs. We've both done it, and we don't recommend it. It's a waste of time.
Well, it can be good practice, but
but you just have to know.
Decide that nobody gets hurt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Any other thoughts on ignoring the 3D?
I think, yeah, I really think just like everything else, it comes down to just your belief. You believe in you can do it. You can manifest exactly what you want, and you can shift into that reality. And I think we're doing an upcoming video on reality shifting, which is a very cool topic and a lot of fun. We have some great stories to share on that.
Yeah. I did want to say something else. Oh, I want to go back to the ceiling fan analogy.
Yes.
Ignoring the 3D. So like you're affirming, you're persisting, you're manifesting a desired scenario, and you're not seeing the results yet. Keep in mind that it's like turning off a fan. That there's still going to be some movement.
A little bit of momentum behind it.
Momentum, yes, perfect. Momentum of the old reality. It's going to take some time for that fan to stop moving, but just hang in there because you're going to get it. Just don't give up. Just persist.
Yeah. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I think that's it.
I think that's it.
All right. So if you have any comments or further questions about ignoring the 3D, please post them in the comments below, and like, share, and subscribe.
Don't forget, go out and manifest that dream life.